It's you immersing yourself in this world, and it must have been amazing to get the trust of these men and women, which you always seem to do when you do anything like this. They tell you things.
Yeah,
you know, the
lucky.
Access you get is remarkable.
That's because it took a year and a half nearly.
Right.
And, you know, thanks to all the constabularies that helped us, particularly West Midlands, you know, a 19% increase in violent crime, a 14% increase in murders and manslaughter, 8% increase in knife crime on the year. You know, the police in this country, we're so rare in terms of the fact that, you know, it comes from the consent of the public, the power that the police have, not from the power of the state.
Yes.
And what I worry, as we slowly increase the amount of police officers that carry guns, that they are going to be more a sort of like conceived or believed to be from the state rather than from the power of the people.
I understand what you're saying. I still get quite a shock when I see police officers armed in airports. You know, our police officers armed in airports. Of course, they have to be. But it's still quite a shock to the system, even now. So do you think, I mean, you've been embedded in this. You know, it's been over a year that you've been doing this. Do you think that they should all be armed? What's your conclusion?
My conclusion is I think it would be a sad day for us
right.
if we become like the rest of the world. And, you know, we haven't armed our police, all our police, for a very, very, very long time. And I think it would destroy the relationship that hopefully still exists between us and them. And they're feeling vulnerable at the moment, particularly some of the unarmed officers. But also we have to look at, if we're going to invest money, you know, we cut 20,000 police officers from our streets.
Crazy.
If we're going to invest money back into our police force, then we should look at also investing into the relationship between them and communities where that trust has broken down. I think that's really important, just to look at that relationship. But Simon Chesterman, who is the lead on armed policing, made it very clear in the programme, all police in the UK will eventually carry guns.
Really?
And can you imagine that? I mean, and inevitably, if there are more guns on our streets, there are going to be more shootings on our streets and more deaths.
But you're absolutely right. Could you not just be Home Secretary? Could you just not do that for us?
The present,
because you've talked more sense in the past 30 seconds than I've heard from politicians in the past 30 years. Because you've got to invest money, but let's get bobbies back on the beat. We want to have that trust with our police officers again.
You know, I think people were confused what I was tweeting about. You know, I myself, without having to do a census, even though I've been making a programme about homelessness, I know how many more homeless people there are on the streets.
Of course you do.
I walk down the Kingsway, I see them every day when I go to the office. Me too. And I know that I see less police officers on the streets. I've been around for 50-odd years now. I know, and my father was a police officer for 30 years. It's obvious that the policing and the money that's going into policing has been cut.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense at all. You've got this new career now. Did you ever think your career would take this road to be a very respected documentary maker?
Not at all.
Award-winning as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, my day started off in Salford, then I went to Blackburn, then I went to Preston, and I came back to Euston yesterday, and then I ended up back in Berkshire. So it was a bit of a long day. You do, though. You work really hard. I mean, I know you were hanging out with Meghan and Harry at an awards ceremony. Yeah, I don't often do that. That's the first time, actually.
I know. And you said they were delightful.
They were fantastic. They were really down to earth.
And doing a lot of work.
Caring,
doing a lot of work behind the scenes as well.
Yeah,
and all the work that you do for Help for Heroes, which is much appreciated.
Yeah,
it really is.
You and I.
Well, but you don't have to do it though, Ross, but you do.
But I love the association. I love the fact that it's quite unique in the way that it brings members of the public, or, you know, civvies like ourselves, into contact with people who have served. And I think they often feel marginalised, particularly after they leave.
Indeed.
And it's great to show that we care about them and we admire the service that they've given.
Yeah, and everybody always thinks of you as this terrible hard man, you know, he's a real hard man. And you're a softie, aren't you, really?
Total softie, as you know.
I know. And I'm going to ask you the inevitable EastEnder question.
Go.
First of all, how's Barbara? How's Barbara Windsor?
She's OK. Obviously, she has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So it's progressively degenerative,
sure.
If that's the right word. But Scott is doing a brilliant job of looking after her, and he's raising money. You know, he's running the marathon. So go support him if you can. I think Elton John gave £5,000 the other day.
That was lovely, wasn't it?
Very nice. But obviously, when I speak to him, like, you can tell that, you know,
it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. Well, we were talking about it earlier.
But what they've done, I think the most important thing that they've done, Lorraine, is they've been open about it, and it's helped other people to talk openly about it.
Totally. And maybe EastEnders one day, perhaps, who knows? Never say never.
Never say never.